Welcome to Homefront Sit Rep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Homefront Sit Rep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting. Welcome to a Monday edition of Homefront Sit Rep. How is everybody doing? Bill, how was your day, sir?
It was a pretty good day.
Yeah, other than the rain, man, it was a pretty good day playing in the dirt, you think?
Not bad. I just stayed out of the rain.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I tried.
I
But
wasn't trying to work hard.
Yeah, I hear you. But anyway, so tonight we are in for a special treat, guys. This guy here that I'm getting ready to bring up, he is the founder and director of Camp Brown Bear, and he is a former Navy SEAL. That should just tell you enough that he's a badass right there. So let's welcome to the stage Mr. Stephen Brown. How are you, sir?
Doing well, Willis. Bill, hey, thank you guys for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. So tell my listeners a little bit about yourself and your military background and stuff like that.
Sure. So I retired from the military in 2014. I went in the military to become a SEAL. It wasn't something I just stumbled upon. So went through basic training and then through an A school, like an MOS school, and then to BUDS. Made it through, went to SEAL Delivery Vehicle Team 1, spent 5 years out there, did 2 deployments with CENTCOM. Now from there, I went to Team 6, went through Green Team. I was there when 9/11 happened. I was in Green Team, and then like the next weekend, myself and 4 other classmates were pulled out of our training cycle, and we went to a squadron, and then ended up doing 6 deployments to Afghanistan, 2 to Iraq, 1 to Africa, and 1 to Yugoslavia while I was there. I spent pretty much that whole time as a sniper while I was in those theaters. And then from there, I went up to Alaska, took over we've got a training command up there called Kodiak. Was up there for about 3.5 years, and then went from there to Team 4 where I retired. And then kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do next in life. Came up with this idea about having a camp. Originally, it was going to be a fatherless boys camp teaching primitive living and land navigation, which are a couple of things that we taught up in Alaska. And while renovating this old church camp that I found, veterans were coming out and helping me on the weekend. And so eventually we created what we have now at Camp Brown Bear, where it's, we do 12 veteran retreats a year for males, females, and couples. We're bumping that up to 15 for next year. It's just based on the demand that we have. We got about a 1-year waiting list for our female retreats, about 9 months for our couples. So we're trying to, accommodate as many people as we can and as quickly as we can, but, keeping our costs where our costs are. And, it's all about money. So we got money to do more and time to do more, we'll do more.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're out helping veterans, it does cost money, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of money that it does take to run a successful program, especially when you're dealing with having people there for the weekend, and you got to account for the food, the electricity, and everything that goes in with that, and then plus gas to and fro and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely. I met you a while back. And before I met you, everybody's like, "Hey, you need to check out Camp Brown Bear. You need to check out Camp Brown Bear." And I tell you what, once I met you at Queens Lake is the first time I met you in person up there at the Mogadishu Mile 2023. And man, I tell you what, just listening to you talk about how the things that you are doing for veterans and how you want to get to where at one point you were only doing male veterans because you couldn't handle the female side of it because you didn't have that capacity at the time, and now that you're doing male, female, and couples, that's pretty awesome, man. Just to see the growth in the amount of time that I've known you, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you, the couples retreat. So we limit our number of participants usually to about 10. We've gone up to 15. With the couples, we'll only have 5 couples because we basically just put a couple per cabin, and then we leave one cabin left over for volunteers that come in to stay in that one. And I tell you, the changes that I've seen, and so we ran 2 couples retreats this year, and the changes that I saw in both retreats, we had one veteran that was just like shut down, not talking to their spouse. And it doesn't have to be a spouse. It can be a support person. So it could be a parent with their child who's a veteran, and that's who's taking them to their, doctor's appointments or whatever they're doing with them. But both of these retreats, we had, one veteran just completely just shut down. And so that's Friday evening. Then we have dinner. We go sit around a fire. We have some drinks. We start talking. That person's just not engaged. They're not sitting very close to their spouse in these particular instances. And then by Saturday night around the fire, they're heads kind of up. They're talking a little bit. They're sitting closer to their spouse. And by Sunday, by the time we got off the water from kayaking, they're busting up with people, holding their wives' hands. It's just like just watching this whole transition of these people just kind of like coming back out of their shell. And then we'll hear from the spouses like, man, I haven't seen him this happy in like 10 years. And this is only after 48 hours. It's like, I don't know what we're doing, but whatever it is we're doing, it's doing really well for a lot of people. And
That's awesome.
The way I kind of created this was I just made something that I would want to go do and have a good time and enjoy the camaraderie of other veterans and other people that have been, in similar situations and stuff. And then also introducing everybody to some holistic stuff that they can do on their own at home. They don't have to go out and do them. They can some you have to, but some you can do from home. And a lot of veterans don't like to go out and go to places. And, so we're trying to just help themselves and have a good time and meet other people that are like them. So it's been working pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that, like when I go out to the woods, man, whether it be deer hunting or just hanging out in the woods down in Barstown at my family's place, the healing power of nature in itself is amazing. Because I mean, literally, I can go down to Barstown, pull up in the woods at 6 o'clock in the morning, prop myself up next to a tree, and just listen to nature wake up. And man, I tell you what, that recharges my battery. And then, the sun is coming through the tree leaves as the sun is rising, and it just man, I tell you what, there's nothing like it. And then, you throw in there, you're with other veterans, like-minded veterans that have been through some of the stuff that you've been through. It's just something about it that helps you just heal. I mean, it's just like you said at the beginning of the trip, they were not wanting to do anything, and by the end, they were the happiest they've been in years. So I mean, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like, for instance, this last retreat, we had a Vietnam guy, we had a Gulf War guy, first Gulf War. Everybody else was pretty much, right around post 9/11. But it's also cool when we get, that large span of time frame where this guy's talking about his 2 tours in Vietnam, and it's just cool, man. Like meeting some of the personalities that come in, and I mean, it's like that young kid. I mean, he was 24 years old named Tyler, and someone's like, "Where'd Tyler go?" And someone was like, "Oh, he went to go get his guitar," and he came back and just started killing it. It was just like, holy shit!
Oh, man.
Like, I mean, it was a great weekend. And every one of them they're always good. Some are just a little bit better than others, and and like you mentioned, our female retreat. So when we have a female retreat, we always have an all-female staff, just because some of the females there, the trauma that they went through wasn't combat trauma; it was usually military sexual trauma. So we always have a female staff that are there to, kind of guide and take everybody on their journey during the retreat. And then but I'm always on site, and I always have one other guy on site with me as well, just in case somebody decides to drive up the driveway and, someone that's just not supposed to be there tries to show up. So we're just kind of there for security, and if something breaks, we will go there and fix it. We're just kind of at the beck and call of, people running the retreat. But yeah, they're pretty sweet.
Yeah, sometimes you got to step back and let other people run it, so that way you can see what you need to maybe possibly work on in the future, and change just a little bit, tweak it here, tweak it there. Albert Hero here, he's a Navy guy, and he just said, "Steve, did you serve with Luke Casada?"
Luke Casada, I don't recognize that name. Maybe you might be able to know what team he was at.
Do you know what team he was, Al? So Al is one of the co-hosts of Triple Threat Vets podcast. Super cool cat, man. He's been on my show a couple times, and really good guy. He's Navy through and through. What's up, Rick Ames? What questions you have? You had one just a second ago.
Well, it was the observation that the couples retreat was a really interesting choice, a great choice. So many things out there will acknowledge that the veteran needs help, but leaves out that partner aspect that the person lives with the veteran daily, and the opportunity created to have the healing together with your significant other or family member or support system. Really outstanding opportunity.
Yeah,
definitely. And one other thing I found too is, we'll do a male retreat or whatever, just for an example. And I usually put like 15 people on our roster, and we'll still end up with 8 sometimes. And 8 or 10. 10's our goal that we always try to meet. And there's one time that we hit 15. We had all 15 show up, but it was still good. One thing that it seems like with our couples retreats, it kind of holds the veteran accountable to show up. And instead of just not showing up, because the spouse is like, we're definitely going to this. And that's what you hear all the time from the partner person. It's like, no, we were definitely going to be there, unless they're like sick or something. But we have had 100% attendance at both of our couples retreats. And I cannot say the same thing for our like female or male retreats, but we're trying to crack that nut. And then this way, if it's a veteran that's really like hesitant to leave home, but the support person's making them come, and then once they go through the retreat, because everything the veteran does during a couples retreat is the exact same thing they would do in a male or female retreat. And the only thing difference that the support person does is when we're doing a work project on Saturday morning with the veterans, the support people, they're going through SAVE training, which is the VA's new suicide awareness training that's geared towards veterans. And then that opens up a whole bag of worms with the support people, and they start talking, and they start like getting to know each other, and they start creating their own support system within those 5 people. Meanwhile, the veterans are building their little relationship amongst them, and then you get them all back together again. It's just a pretty cool thing. And then hopefully that veteran that can come to a male retreat or a female retreat will now, since they've been there and they're comfortable and they know who we are, will then show up. So
yeah,
that was one of the reasons that we.
I always liked it when my wife went to different veteran events with me, and anytime she went to volunteer here, volunteer there, and she come back, and she would always say that she had a different perspective, just because she sees not just what I've been through, but what other people have gone through as well. So And then
Definitely.
my kids do the same thing when they go with me to veteran events. Like I took my youngest to the Marine Corps Tours for Tot run that we just did on Saturday,
Okay,
and
cool.
she loved it. And she goes
Yeah,
with me when we go to demo houses for Operation Victory. She goes with me on that, and
nice.
she's meeting other children that are there, and they get to talking. They're like, "Well, my dad went through this. Well, my dad also kind of went through something like that," and they do build that relationship and their own little
Mhm.
community afterwards. So Al
So,
says he was a Dev Gru guy. Not sure. I
blue team?
think Go Team maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I was on blue team. So, I mean, I knew a lot of guys on gold team, like especially that I went through training with, but I don't recognize that name. He may have been there before or after I was at the command. I don't know. But
Yeah. So
one
Al
thing you
like
did say, oh, sorry about that. I was
Oh,
going to
go
say
ahead.
one thing you did say about going to your Bardstown property and like getting there before the sun comes up and just sitting in nature. I tell that to everybody that comes to the retreat. I'm like, if we didn't do anything except just get all of you out here and sit around the fire all day, you guys would leave here better.
Oh yeah.
It's
I
a
mean, it's
great
just
weekend.
such a healing. It's so healing in nature. Like
Yep.
you
Oh
just
yeah.
don't get it from out in the woods,
Yeah.
But
I
that
went
was a good.
to Camp Hero, Kentucky,
Mhm.
the last weekend of deer season, and I went out and sat in the blind, and I didn't see one deer the whole time I was there. I saw them on the camera. They were there at 3 o'clock in the morning when I was asleep, but
Right.
just going out there for the whole weekend with my brother-in-law and just hanging out in the blind or the tree stand and sitting around the campfire after we got done at night, that was amazing just in itself.
Yep.
So.
It's therapy. I'll tell you
Oh
that.
yeah, I highly recommend going out and spending, you know, a weekend in the woods. I mean, I highly recommend
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah.
so you so you've got this piece of property up there that you revamped it, remodeled, and
Yep.
so how long has Camp Brown Bear been around?
So we got our 501c3 status approved by the IRS in 2014. We held our first retreat in 2015, which doesn't look like anything a retreat does today because back then we didn't even have any power at the camp yet. And it was in March. So we're in what is our lodge now. In that first retreat, we had cots. There was like 8 of us. We had 2 kerosene heaters in there, and we had a barbecue grill, and that's what we made all of our food on. And
Nice.
so it's come from that to like we got 6 cabins that are all renovated. Our lodge is all renovated. We got a commercial kitchen inside of that thing. The place just looks awesome. Our bathroom and shower facility was all renovated in 2001. The lodge was finished in 2002 or 2022. Did I say 2001? 2021, and then 2022 was when the bathhouse and then the lodge were completed. And both of those, I got to give a shout out to Jim Beam Vets right now because they headed up both of those projects and they completely did the bathhouse on their own. And then they brought in about 11 or 12 other organizations that they worked with at Jim Beam or people just knew each other and came out and, renovated our lodge. So, and it was like started demoing it in June and we were done by like October. And then like all the final finishing stuff was done in like November last year. So,
Nice.
but it looks awesome. They did a wonderful
So
job.
Mr. Al Hero here says, "What's the best way to support Camp Brown Bear? How could somebody
Currently,
donate or something of that
yeah,
nature?"
yeah, our thing that we need right now is financial support so we can do more retreats. And the best way to do it is to go to our website and just click the donate button, which then that will go to a page where you can do a one-time donation, a monthly donation, or we've got a roundup tool on there. So you can put a credit card on into this thing and you can limit it from $10 a month up to $100 a month donation. Once it hits that limit that you set it to in that month, it will then stop adding any more money to it, and then it starts out again the next month.
All right,
And
so
so,
I'm sharing your website here, so
yeah,
they can go down here. Let's see where the donate button is. Uh,
it's usually up at the very top, but I didn't see it.
yeah, I didn't see it either. Let's see.
Like
Let's
go to
go
the three.
here. I'm
Um,
not seeing it there
interesting.
either. Let's see. Hold on. There it is. So click the
Yeah,
little 3 lines and go over to where it says donate, and then you can
yep,
set it up from there. So,
correct.
but now that we're on the website, um, let's see. Let's go back here. Dang, gotta go back here. So here you click on the 3 things. You got projects, you got your vision, you got your team, you got your contact, veteran retreat application, couples retreat application, and your blog as well. So I'm assuming for the veteran is you could do male or female, and then
Correct.
couples, you do your couples. And
Yep.
then projects, you got your male veteran retreat, couples, Jeep Jamboree, Jamboree, and testimonials. I got a little tongue tied there for a minute. It looks like it's a pretty nice little spot there. You got a creek where you go kayaking. Is that on property or is that off property?
It's off property. So when we kayak, we go to Elkhorn Creek, which is up in Peaks Mill, and Canoe Kentucky's been supporting us since the very beginning when we started to add kayaking. We were going to buy all of our own equipment, and they're just like, "No, we'll take care of you," and they've taken care of us every time. So we go
Right.
offsite for that, and then we also go offsite for equine therapy. We go to Central Kentucky Riding for Hope at the horse farm in Lexington, and they have been nothing but awesome to us. They just run a great program, and looking forward to going back at the beginning of next year. We're there on Sunday, and yeah, it's always been it's funny watching some veterans that have never been around horses. It's like
Mhm.
horses, an animal, whatever. But some get pretty intimidated by them, and then by the end of 2 hours, they're like, "Yeah, this is my new best friend,"
Oh
and
yeah.
they just kind of get to understand the animal. And it's pretty cool watching them just change in that couple hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. So with horses, it's just like nature. Once you've been around horses and your body starts getting in tune with that horse, that's another amazing feeling because horses are like a lot like dogs, where they're very intuitive to
Mhm.
your personality, your anxiety. If you're anxious, they're going to be anxious. If you're frustrated, they're going to be frustrated. Horses and dogs are just up there with like being out in nature and healing. And then you throw music in there as well. Those if you mix all those together, like you were talking about Tyler earlier, sitting around the campfire singing songs that he wrote. Um, mm, Man, that's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
That's what you look for. Um, yeah, Al, I will do that. I will send it to you, Al. Actually, I'll put it in the chat here real quick. One. So Al's asking for the website, which is I got it down here, but let's see. Let's go back here. That way I can share it with Al. And so, like I said earlier, Al, well, I'll be darned. I'm messing up everything here for some reason.
Leave it to a jarhead.
Leave it to a Marine to fuck shit up. But Al, I'll send it to you as well in Messenger as well. As soon as we get off of here, I'll send it to you. So, like I said, Al is one of the 4 members of Triple Threat Vets podcast. And he said he'll share information on his podcast, and then I'll get you connected with Al, and he'll have you on as a guest as well to talk about
Cool.
Camp Brown Bear. So there,
Yeah, that'd be
Al's located in Pensacola, and then the other 3 are out in Texas. So
okay.
super cool cats, man. Their podcast is really awesome. I just happened to stumble upon it when I was looking through Facebook and looking for veteran podcasts and stuff like that. And the first time I listened to it, I was like, man, these guys are awesome. They're doing wonderful things. And then we started talking back and forth, and then now we're doing the tip of the spear, which is a veterans roundtable. We do it once a month. We bring their show on, my show, the Misfit Nation show, I Am Pitts, and we bring in special guests like we had Don Bramer and Carl Truman on this one that we just had. And man, it was a really exciting conversation to have with, all of us together talking about things that are going on currently within the military and throughout the country, in the world. So yeah,
That's really
yeah,
good.
we'll definitely get you guys connected with those. And
Great.
so now you are like-minded like I am. When me and we've talked a few times and we've had some meetings here recently, and I think we all come to the same consensus where, as a veteran service organization, you have to be willing to work with other VSOs to support the veterans, because what you do might not help this veteran out, but what this organization does might. So
Right.
I love how you're willing to work with other veteran service organizations out there. I mean, because that only makes everybody stronger in the long run.
Absolutely. Right.
So
Yeah, we've got a great partnerships with a few. One is A Soldier's Heart. They're out of Western Kentucky. The founder, Jeremy Wallace, who came to the very first veteran retreat that we held in 2015 when we were staying in that cold refrigerator of a building. And after a few years, he's been to every retreat except for 2. So we kind of brought him in as a partner a while back just to kind of help out during the retreats when he'd come out. And then he started his own nonprofit called A Soldier's Heart. And it was canoeing and kayaking and camping around Land Between the Lakes. Eventually, he made contacts with a couple boat captains down in Florida that both have 56-foot steel hull sailboats, and they do sailboat retreats for about 1 week down into the dry Tortugas. And they're a good time. I went on one in April. It was a blast. You do some diving, you do some snorkeling, you're eating on the beaches every night. You're moored up over by Fort Jefferson, which is an amazing fort out there in the dry Tortugas. And then I'm on Lady Veterans Connect advisory board, and Phyllis Abbott, the founder of that organization, is she's awesome. She's just got a huge heart for veterans. Yeah, she's awesome. And so, we try to do stuff with them. They actually had their first female retreat this past weekend. I can't wait to ask and see how it went. And then Active Heroes, I'm starting to get involved with them. Just trying to help them maneuver where they want to end up being, because I don't think they know exactly where it is yet. But yeah, us 4 little organizations, and we got a couple more that we're kind of vetting right now. Because one thing for me is our organization is all volunteer. We don't pay anybody. So any money that comes into our organization goes directly to the veterans. And so I will not work with people that aren't that same way. So if they're paying people, I really don't want to play. It should be more than you getting a paycheck. It should be that you want to help veterans. And that's at the end of the day, all I want to work with. So,
it's like our friend James Thornton says from Warrior Rounds. If he smells greed, he's going to take his toys and go home.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're in it for the money, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Mm-hmm.
And Glenn McIntosh just said, "You guys are awesome." Well, thank you, Glenn. We're just here to help veterans out. That's what we're here for. But thank you for that. So yeah, like I said, we've had several conversations. We had our meeting at Active Heroes not too long ago, and we got some things in the works where we're trying to get some singer-songwriters together with some veterans, and bring Warrior Rounds to Kentucky, which right now they do Warrior Rounds in Nashville, but we're trying to bring it to Kentucky on a smaller scale. And you got your Jeep Jamboree coming, next year, and the other events that you got planned as well. And like I told you before, I'm here to help you any way I can. And I'm sure Bill, once he gets up and running and doing his thing, he'll be able to support you there as well. And I think what you're doing at Camp Brown Bear is amazing, and I can't wait to come out to one of the retreats myself, just because, for one, I am a veteran. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I deal with, my PTS and my night terrors and stuff, and I love being out in nature. So I think it would be amazing to come out there and just spend the weekend with you guys and see what you're all about.
Yeah, I'd love to have both of you guys out. And that's one of the things I try to do. Like when the VFW, my post in Frankfurt 4075, I was telling them, hey, this is what I'm doing up there. And they're like, hey, how can we help you? And I was like, well, how you can help me is just come out there and spend a weekend. Like, I want you to be an advocate for what we're doing. I don't, they donate to our retreat every month, and that's awesome. But it's more important to me to have people come out there, experience it, and then spread that word. Because I mean, we've never advertised. We have a Facebook page, and I guess Instagram, Twitter, and something else. You know, that's basically how we do any mentioning of our retreats. And we've had people from 49 of the 50 states apply to our retreats.
Yeah.
Which just blows me away. And
Well,
so
like a,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Like I said, when I heard about you, it was word of mouth, you know, and I never heard, you know, I never saw anything about Camp Brown Bear until somebody said, "Hey, you need to check out Stephen Brown at Camp Brown Bear," and I was like, never heard of it before. And then I started looking into it, and then you know, it just kind of snowballed from there because like everybody was like, "Yeah, you need to check out Camp Brown Bear." You need so luckily, you know, we met up there at Queens Lake, and I had already
Yeah.
sent an email out to you and never received anything back. And I was like, man, I guess they just didn't see it. And then when I saw you set up there, I was like, all right, I gotta go talk to this guy because it was
Right.
meant to be. So, yeah,
No, it was good timing. Yeah. And I'm glad like our organization is where it's at now. Like when we finished that lodge in 2022, it was like, because I would have people come up for a presentation and take them on a tour of the place, and I'm just like, man, this place just looks terrible. Like the ceiling sagging, there's like black mold. You can see light coming through the walls. The kitchen was, you know, from the 1970s. Everything was still from the 70s, and so we finally got it done, and it's just like, you know, it's just beautiful. I love having people come there now, and they usually when they walk in the door, their eyes kind of get big, and they're like, dang, I didn't imagine to see this in here.
Right.
And that's the kind of that's how I want our organization to be represented, not how it was. Because I was like, man, I should just meet with these people down at the library or something in town, and not bring them up here. But now it's like, you know, we've gone from that crawl pace, you know, all the way getting through to getting that building finished and just getting everything kind of dialed in. So now we're just at a walk, and that's as fast as we're gonna go.
Yeah.
I think if we went too fast, we'd ruin what we have. So.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of organizations, they don't realize that if, you know, once that momentum starts growing and getting faster, they need to dial it back a little bit. That way they don't get too big too fast, because a lot of times we know what happens when you get too big too fast is that greed starts creeping in. And once that greed starts creeping in, then that's when it goes to hell in a handbasket. So as long as you get to that point where you're growing to, you know, a certain point, and then you dial it back, and then that way it keeps you humble. You know, you don't take that risk factor of becoming greedy. So,
Well, aside from even that, just the previously mentioned, a lot of veterans don't want to go out.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in a large group. I know a lot of veterans don't necessarily even want to be around a whole lot of other veterans.
Right.
Can remind them of things that bother them, or you know, I struggle with large groups of veterans. I can joke and tell little stories, but at some point I don't want to hear everyone's stories.
Yeah.
And so those small, intimate groups, I think you're able to get more of a tighter connection for that weekend, and build new relationships, and get guys, you know, a toe back into the water to getting out and integrating.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally
I struggle with large groups, not just veterans, but large groups in general. Me personally, I like it when it's small, you know, 10 to 15 different veterans. I like the smaller groups. But when you get into a larger crowd, I kind of shut down and shell away. So yeah, it's definitely better with smaller groups.
For sure. I'm the same way. I'd prefer to be around a smaller group than a large group any day. You just accomplish more, one, and two, you just get more out of it. That's why we keep our number at 10 is what we try to keep it at. If it goes up to 15, more than like 10, you start to dilute kind of what we do. And then especially if we have a practitioner coming in that is one-on-one type of whatever, it might be Reiki master or a cranial sacral masseuse type of person. And if you have too many people, then they just don't have enough time to be with each individual, because we have about a 2-hour window for each one of our practitioners that come in on Saturday. And so, yeah, you want to get everybody through there. You want them to have enough time to actually experience the modality, and then maybe hopefully take something away from it. And man, we had an actress come Saturday, and he's awesome. And I've always told him, like, hey, just turn their brain off, like they can do a needle sequencing in your ears that will just, your brain shuts down. And he got done, and 2 guys are just out cold. Like, just they slept for like 2 hours. One of them got up, ate dinner, and just went back to his cabin and went back to bed, and he woke up the next day. I mean, it was like, yeah. So it's awesome seeing that stuff happen. And so like, talking about growing, like, we're trying to increase our capacity, not only here, but we're going to start looking for another piece of property somewhere between northern Arizona and Montana. We keep getting all these people from the West Coast that sign up and actually come out here for a 2-day event, and it's just, we want to find another location where we can do the same things that we're doing here, kind of replicate it. And then I still have my place up in Alaska, which we're going to eventually start doing our summer retreats up there. We're not going to do any summer retreats in Kentucky anymore. So like the end of June until after September 11th, it's not doing them. It's just too hot out, and it's trying to do everything outside. And we have people that are just, their health isn't good enough really for them to be in that type of temperature and then being active, where we can Kodiak, and, high temperature is going to be about 65, 70 degrees at the max. So we can get up there and do some backpacking in the backcountry. We can go offshore fishing. We can do some kayaking, side-by-side tours, and World War II bunkers. There's a lot to do, and that group would even be smaller. So we'd probably have about 4 veterans come up at a time, just so we can easily accommodate that number. But yeah, so that's probably something that's not going to happen this summer, but will probably be summer of 25 is when I'm hoping to do our first one up in Alaska then.
Well, sign me up for
it. For sure. And then hopefully we'll find, that right piece of property. That's because my thing is too, it's always like where we're at, it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere, but we're only about 9 miles from a Trauma 1 center. So for me, it's always that too, because like our work projects are usually something that involves chainsaws or brush cutters or something like that. And, we've got med kits and tourniquets in case somebody does get struck by a chainsaw or something like that. But knowing that you can get down to the hospital, way quicker than they're going to even get an ambulance started and out of the garage.
Right.
It's really important to me for that aspect of the safety piece of it,
Oh yeah, you definitely got to be safe. So let's take a short break here, and I'm going to pay the bills per se. So I want to thank my sponsors at talenttalents.com and Louisville Local Entertainment. If you're in the music industry, reach out to these guys. Everything they do it for free. One's a veteran, one's not a veteran. So if you're in the music industry, reach out to these guys. Here we go.
Owner of Talon Talents here, and I just want to say that we are ecstatic to be a major sponsor of Homefront SITREP, a community that is ran by veterans and made for veterans. So thank you for tuning in. Talon Talents was formed in order to create a music scene that was together in the form of a collective, so that no one has to do everything on their own. And guess what? We've been doing this for free for over a year. So please go and check out Talon Talents through Facebook or through our official website at www.talontalents.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you again for tuning in to Homefront SITREP, a veteran-owned and operated podcast.
My name's Rick Ames. I own Louisville Local Entertainment, a company for music shows, promotions, and bookings in the Louisville music scene. As a veteran, it's my honor to support and sponsor local veteran-owned businesses such as Homefront SITREP. made by veterans for veterans. So if you're in the music business and need some help booking or promoting a show for free, look me up, Louisville Local Entertainment. And thanks for tuning in to Homefront SITREP.
And we're back. So yeah, definitely if you're in the music industry, check out talents.com on Facebook or on their website, and then also Louisville Local Entertainment. Check them out. All right, Stephen. So yeah, you were in the Navy and on the SEAL teams. Now you're doing hey, you're welcome, Rick. Now you're doing Camp Brown Bear, and like I said earlier in the show, man, I love what you're doing up there. Nature has always been one of my healing areas that I always go to. And then what you're doing there, just in with the small groups and keeping it small, dude, that's amazing, brother. I can't thank you enough for what you're doing.
I was interested in some of the other activities that you offer there over the weekend. I was looking at the website ahead of the show and saw the testimonials and you expect the things like the kayaking and maybe a service project. That's what you expect with a camp weekend. But mentioned modalities, and it seems like there's some mindfulness exercises that come out of this. So can you speak on some of that a little bit?
Absolutely. So before I retired, I had to go to Walter Reed to the NICO clinic, and that was for a month, and it was kind of like an inpatient thing where they're trying to figure out how to take guys that have done multiple deployments into combat and try to get the central nervous system to shut back down to normal instead of being just jacked up all the time and super hypervigilant and that kind of thing. So really all I did, I started it out with just taking some of those modalities I was introduced to at the NICO clinic and just started bringing them here. So yoga meditation was the first one. And to me, it's like just getting the individual where, they're getting their joints moving, and then they get kind of like warmed up and then lay down and have a guided meditation about just kind of focusing on the body and the brain. And then, from there, I think we went to acupuncture was next, art therapy, music therapy, sound therapy, cranial sacral massage, regular massage, like table or chair massage. What else do we have? Journaling. We had a guided journaling thing that we did for a while. So all these bring like Qigong and Tai Chi, and there's just a bunch of different modalities that we have. And so we introduced 3 of those each retreat to the people there. And we try to change it up as, for every retreat. Sometimes you just can't due to scheduling issues and availability of the practitioners. But yeah, so it's kind of, we try to show them something that they can do that they might just be like, man, that was awesome. Like some people really dig the art stuff. I'm a terrible artist. So for me, the art stuff's horrible. I'd rather go out with a chainsaw and cut down a tree and limb it up and buck it up. And, to me, that's therapy. But,
Right.
Some people will do an art session and I'm just looking at their stuff like, holy cow, man, that's really good. We actually had this one dude, he since passed away due to I think he had a lot of burn pit issues, but he just had sicknesses and things. But he had multiple suicide attempts prior to coming to one of our retreats. He came from Western Kentucky. Jeremy, the guy I mentioned from A Soldier's Heart, picked him up, drove him 3.5 hours. This dude didn't say a single word to Jeremy on the entire drive. He had a big old service animal that was a Doberman Pinscher because he had a lot of joint issues and he needed a larger animal to help him like get up and get down and stuff like that. So we do the first week or the first weekend that he shows up and he doesn't say a word to anybody, not around the fire, not when we're at meals. He's actually the first person that made me like, this guy might like try to hurt somebody or hurt himself while he's here. And so I actually like really kept a tighter eye on him than I had anybody else ever at any of our retreats. So he gets ready to leave on Sunday, or I think it might've been Monday morning. And, I'm saying goodbye to Jeremy and I walk over to Michael and he finally like he's got this, I can't even say it's a 1 mile stare. It's like 1,000 mile stare. Like he didn't look at you, he looked through you and he looked, a county away. And he just raised up his hand, and he was a big dude. He was probably like 6'2" or something, and he was probably close to 300 pounds. And I shook my hand, and he said, "Thank you." And he got in the truck and they left. And he didn't say a word the entire drive back to Western Kentucky. So some time goes by and we have another retreat, and Michael's come back. And so he gets out of the truck and comes up to me, gives me a big hug, and he's like, "Hey man, you saved my life." And I'm like, "Well, thanks, man. But you had to do the work. I'm just introducing you to things that, help you get past." And so he eventually goes back to school, gets his master's degree in art, becomes a high school art teacher, and starts giving back to his community where he was before not doing anything at all. So like, it's success stories like that I see at our retreats that just keep pushing me to do more and more. And then the other thing that pushes me to do more and more is I've had a lot of team guy friends in the last couple of years take their own life. And it's always those guys that don't even know what's going to happen. Someone just finds them dead. They don't say anything. And those are the ones you got to worry about the most, because they don't say anything. They don't let on like anything's wrong. It's just one day they're just like, "I'm done," and they just do whatever. And I had two mentors of mine. The guy I went through sniper school, he was running sniper school and I went through it. He took his life. And then, he was a huge influence in my career. And then another one was a third phase chief and Buds, which we eventually worked together later in my career as well. And both of those two guys I just looked up to big time. And it's hard for me to even believe that they have both, taken their lives as I'm sitting here talking about it. It's like, and then there's been quite a few other teammates that have taken their lives as well. And it's, I know you're not going to be able to stop all the suicides, but you're going to be able to stop quite a few of them. And that's my thing. It's just like, man, we need to slow this rate down, because everybody goes off these VA numbers, 16 a day or 22 a day. But when you start talking to professionals on the civilian side, because there's a lot of veterans that don't go to the VA. And like in Arizona, I think it's like 18% of veterans of Arizona actually utilize the VA, which is probably the lowest. But still, that just shows you how many more people are out there. But I was talking to this lady that runs, 4 hospitals out in Arizona, and then she runs the medical system for the country of Jordan, which she may or may not be doing right now based on what's going on out there. But she said the number's more like 44 a day. And that kind of blew me away. And I was just like, golly, man. So I wish the VA would kind of do a little better job and like be in communication with the civilian medical centers, and like, let's find out what the real number is. So maybe someone will then start listening. Like, 22 is still terrible, but when all of a sudden you're at 44, it's like, whoa, that's freaking insane. So
yeah, I've heard that number, being closer to 40. Because like you said, a lot of veterans don't go to the VA, so it's not reported. And then if somebody does commit suicide outside, like say police, the police find them and stuff, that doesn't get picked up by the news media that a veteran committed suicide. It's just, somebody wound up dying, and that's all, all you hear. And, like you said, I've had some people that I looked up to that in the military commit suicide. I had a first sergeant Shine. He was a Southern Baptist guy, and he's one of those guys that could cuss you out without cussing. That's the type of Marine he was. And I heard not too long ago that he committed suicide, and I was like, man, I just never would see that coming from him. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is I can go up to Bill at work tomorrow and say, "Hey, Bill, you doing all right?" And he'll say, "Yeah, I'm fine." But it's in how he answers that question. You could tell if something's wrong, if something's bothering him, or if he is fine. And a lot of people don't pay attention to those subtle cues. Like if Bill's having a bad day and he says he's fine, I can tell that he's having a bad day. Of course, I know his backstory, what he's going through right now, but I can still tell that, he's having a bad day. And a lot of times we're too caught up in our own life to actually want to pay attention to somebody else. Yeah, we'll go through the motions. Hey, Steven, you doing all right today? You say, yeah, I'm fine. And people just leave it at that. They don't really go into more detail and look at your body cues that you're giving off, or the way your eyes go, or the tone that you present it in. And that's where we as veterans, we need to get better when we're talking to our brothers or sisters, and we ask them, hey, are you guys fine? We need to get better at realizing those subtle cues that are going out there. And then that might help bring down the number, from 40 a day to 0, because one's too many. And
Absolutely. It is.
So
it's just tragic, man.
yeah.
Like, you sign that line to go overseas and give your life overseas, and then you come back and take it yourself. It's just like, there's gotta be an answer. Like,
yeah. And here's the thing. I'm just now going through the VA to do all my stuff, to get situated with the VA and then get rated and all that good stuff. And man, I tell you what, it's I can see why a lot of veterans don't go to the VA, because literally I work from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock is my normal shift. So I schedule an appointment for December 7th, which is not today, but anyway, it was for 3:30 in the afternoon. Well, they called me up and said, hey, we need to switch your appointment. I said, all right, well, what do you have available for 3:30 in the afternoon? Because that's when I need it for. They said, well, we got December 4th. I was like, all right, cool. Set me up for December 4th. So Friday, I went in for blood work in the morning at 8:15. And then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call from the VA. Hey, we need to change your appointment. I was like, what do you mean you need to change my appointment? It's already been changed once. Well, we're not doing after 3 o'clock appointments anymore. You got to come in earlier than that. I was like, I can't do before 3 o'clock because of my work schedule. I said, what do I need to do? Do I need to find another doctor within the clinic that I'm going to that will be able to have later appointments? Oh no, we're doing away with all the after 3 o'clock. They're only going to be telehealth. And I'm like, what do you mean? I said, what about us veterans that actually are out here working a normal day job and we can't make it before 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock? Well, you just got to do telehealth. I was like, well, that don't make no sense. So, and then so she said, well, let me get back to you. And I didn't hear nothing from her from the rest of the day. Well, the next morning, I got a text message saying, hey, you got a telehealth appointment on December 4th at 3:30. I was like, all right. So I confirmed it. And then at 3 o'clock today, I still hadn't received the link for the telehealth. So I started calling. I was like, hey, what's going on? Well, you're supposed to be here at 3:30. I was like, wait a minute. I just got a text message on Saturday saying that I come in for that I got a telehealth appointment. And they're like, no, you're supposed to be here at 3:30. And then I get to the front counter to check in at Stony Brook, and they're like, oh, well, your appointment's been canceled. I'm like, I just took somebody at 3 o'clock. And my anxiety is going crazy because here I am trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So I can see why veterans don't go to the VA. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
And worse though, you have veterans that will then have that experience and then go get in their vehicle and start their pistol.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's why there's suicides in their parking lots. I mean, it's crazy how disorganized and dysfunctional that organization has been in my experiences with it too. And just be careful going to them as far as medications and stuff like that, because they put me on a freaking, trash bag full of medications when I first got out. And I was just like, all of a sudden, like my cholesterol is getting bad and my blood pressure is getting high and I was getting lethargic and just wasn't feeling right. And one of my buddies is like, he was a deputy sheriff, and he was like, hey, why don't you go to my doctor in Lexington and he'll do blood work and figure out what's going on. And I'm like, all right. So I took all my meds and everything in there, and the doc, they did all my blood draw, and then he's looking at all my medications, and he's like, I'd like all these medications, but I would never prescribe them together. And this is why. They have you on uppers and downers that you're taking at the same time. It just doesn't make any sense for like psychotropic medications. So he started weaning me off of the first one and started like adding a new one into what I was taking each day. Then I was weaning off the second one, and it was 2 pills of the same thing, and weaning off the third one, and it was 3 pills of the same thing. And like within 6 months, and the VA would, every time I get my blood work done, you got to start eating better. You need to work out more. I'm like, I haven't changed anything that I've done, in the last 20 years. Like I'm still eating the same way. I'm still working out the same way. 6 months after I got off all their concoctions, my blood pressure's back to normal. My cholesterol's back to normal. Like I was just like, so just watch what they have you take. And if you know a pharmacist, like whatever they do, just say, hey, here's all my medications they're giving me. Should I even be taking these together or not? Because they put me on one, my heart rate dropped down to about 30 beats per minute. And my doc told me, he's like, if you continued to take that, you probably would have not woke up one day. And I was just like, well, I'm glad I quit.
So right now I'm on a pill for my cholesterol. Well, today she was like, well, you need this pill, you need this pill, this pill. And I was like, no, I don't need those pills. I said, I'm fine with taking a cholesterol pill because I knew my cholesterol was up. But she's like, well, you're borderline diabetic. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm borderline diabetic? She goes, well, your A1C is at 7. You need to start, taking a blood pressure pill. You need to check your insulin level. And I'm like, no, let me just do what I know I need to do. And I'm 240 pounds at 5'7" or 5'7". Yeah. And I know I need to lose weight. So I'm just going to cut out the carbs, and get back to where I need to be. So, I'm very, very picky on what pills I'm going to take, because I've heard of stories just like you just said, where the VA is prescribing all these pills just to give you pills, and they don't care if it's an upper and a downer mixed together, which is stupid. So, and then my buddy Al, he says, but battle buddy checks are critical to our community. It doesn't take much, a quick call or text. You never know how much it helps to hear from a teammate or a brother. Al, I would agree with you 100% on that. I got friends that I regularly check on, and if Doc is on here, he can tell you I check on him quite frequently. James Thornton's another guy that I quite frequently check on. So I'm always reaching out. And Rick, Rick Ames, Rick, me and him just talked the other day, and I'm not even going to tell his story, but he had a really bad day. He saw something that brought back a lot of memories, and he was not feeling it. So, and then Al just says, it's easier to fight our monsters when you have someone willing to stand and fight alongside you. Even though we're no longer downrange, fight an enemy, we know and can see it's even more important now when we are at battle against invisible enemy combat. And then I would agree with that, Al, 100%. The demons that creep in are the ones you can't see are worse than the ones that we fought downrange. And then Doc says, you're very true, Willis, and thanks. I've met Doc a long time ago, and I tell you what, his wife called me up one day and said, Doc's having a bad day. And within 15 minutes, I was at his house. Just because that's who I am. If I tell you that I got your 6, I'm going to have your 6. And there's several people out there that I will do that to. And I'm sure you're the same way, Steven. So.
Yep, for sure. Like I check on friends. I have friends check me. Buddies, I'll be in the middle of something. I'll have someone call me. I can tell by the tone of the voice, like you're just saying, yeah, they're not having a good day. They usually don't reach out to me this way. So then it's like I'm dropping whatever I'm doing, and I'm on the phone as long as what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had people call me at 2:00 in the morning. I got a good friend. He lives up in Massachusetts, and I said that right, Massachusetts. But he'll call me at 12:00 at night, and I'll talk to him for an hour, whatever he needs, until he's ready to get off the phone. And it's just what we do as brothers and sisters. I might not have served with Steven, I might not have served with Bill, but guess what? You're my brothers. And I'll take care of you any way I can. If my phone's always open, it's on the Facebook page. It's everywhere. If you don't have it, just ask for it. I'll give it to you. And then, Doc, here's where you're wrong. So a lot of veterans say this right here: I don't deserve that level of care.
Right.
There are others that need it worse. See, Doc, here's where you're wrong, my friend. I love you, but that statement is completely and utterly wrong. Regardless of what level you are, you still need that care and respect. So, and do you agree with that, Stephen?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody the way I look at it, anybody that's been downrange, it's just what is the right thing to do. It's, you know, you got to take care of your brothers and sisters, and it's, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. Yeah, it's one veteran at a time, regardless of the situation. Yeah, you could sit here and say you want to help 100 veterans at one time, but how much help are you doing when you're spread so thin? And that's why I always say one veteran at a time, and then that veteran's going to turn around and help another veteran, and then those two veterans are going to go help another veteran. So it's like a pyramid scheme. So,
absolutely.
And see, Al says I did agree with Thomas. We all need. Or he says, I disagree. Okay, I disagree. Your scars are no less important than mine, brother. See, that's where you need to realize, Doc, regardless of what situation you're in, you're just as important as I am, just as important as Steven or Al or Bill. And that's what we're here for. What's up, Mr. Michael Whitlatch? So Michael Whitlatch is listening from Wheeling, West Virginia. And Michael is now the proud owner of a puppy that he got donated that's going to become his service dog.
Nice.
Michael was told by a big time service dog, Canines for Warriors. I'll just say their name. Was told that he couldn't get a dog until 2025. And then we were scouring the service dog arena per se. There's so many service dog providers out there, and luckily somebody was saw what was going on, and they donated him a puppy, and he just said, yes, we'll start training after the 1st. So that's awesome. Nice. I'm super stoked for you, Michael. That's awesome, brother.
Yes.
So Stephen, so how can people get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you?
Our website's probably the easiest way. My phone number's on there. The email address to get a hold of me is the director account. And but yeah, call me, Facebook, instant message me. Yeah, those are probably the easiest ways. And
yeah, so they can email you at director@campbrownbearusa.org, or you can go to the website, which is down here, campbrownbearusa.org, and you can get his phone number there. You can instant message him on his Facebook page. So yeah, so what all events do you have coming up? I know Christmas is coming up, and do you got any events for the rest of the year, or the first one starting back in January?
So we got a special event coming up in 2 weekends. Some guys lost some teammates overseas, and they're bringing a bunch of members from that command to the site, not to do like a Camp Brown Bear retreat, but just a place to get away and not be seen, not be heard from, and just be able to do what they want to do for a weekend. And so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Other than that, we won't have a retreat until after the New Year's. If I remember right, we have I'm going to say it's a male and a female retreat, the first in January. Then our first couples retreat, I think, is in February. Yeah, it's it's the weekend before Valentine's Day will be our first couples retreat. So
nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to donate to Camp Brown Bear, you can go to their website, and then upper right hand corner is the 3 lines. Click on that, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it'll say donate. right now that they need financial funds to help run the organization, to bring veterans out there to help them heal with outdoor therapy and just the camaraderie that we lose when we leave the military. That's what Camp Brown Bear is providing up there at their property. So, man, I tell you what, Stephen, it's been an honor to have you on tonight and for you to share your story and how you're continuing to serve the military community. Man, it's an honor to meet you and to call you friend, for one, because you're now a brother for life. So thank you for coming on.
Well, I appreciate that, Willis, and thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about what Camp Brown Bear is all about and how we're helping the veteran community. I can't wait to have you and Bill out there someday, even if it's to come out to a quick visit and just kind of see the site. And as soon as you see it, you'll understand why it does so much good. Yeah. But
so I'm also sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, so our heroes on here, triple threat vets, I'm going to send your information to them. Rich LaMonica, who runs the Misfit Nation out of Tennessee, I'm going to send your information to him. They're going to get you on so we can get Camp Brown Bear out there throughout the, they got different listeners than I got. So as long as we can spread the message about Camp Brown Bear, that's what I want to do. So
I really appreciate it, for sure.
You're very welcome, my friend. You're very welcome. We should see it go. We should go see it. Yes, Doc. We should go see Camp Brown Bear. You will go with me when we go, Doc. I promise you that. So, all right, Stephen, you got anything else to say before I let you go, my friend? I won't interrupt you this time.
No, that's all good. No, I just really appreciate you having me on. It's been nice meeting you out at Queens Lake, and I want you to be able to keep talking about what we do, and as we grow, and just keep spreading the word about what we're doing. I mean, we're just, like you said, one veteran at a time. Ours is, it's one weekend at a time. It's it's just trying to get that message across that they can help themselves. And I don't mind being alone by myself a lot. Like, I'm out on that property alone a lot of the time. And I mean, I feel that healing power from it when I'm just out there and not being around other people. So taking some of those tools that I introduced to these people and utilizing them myself, it's helped me. I was in a freaking mentally a terrible place in like 2010. And I was fortunate enough to get back out of that hole. But I know where a lot of these guys are coming from and where they're at, and it's just giving them a couple tools, man, and hopefully that helps and changes their lives.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks again, brother.
Hey, you're very welcome, my friend, and you take care of those puppies, because I know they were running around a little bit ago. So.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, man.
Will do.
Well, you have a great night, and I will see you soon, my friend.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, bye.
Good night.
All right, man. I tell you what, when I first met Stephen, like I said, I reached out to Camp Brown Bear through the Facebook page. I sent an email out and didn't hear anything back. And I was like, man, what is going on? And I happened to go up to the Mogadishu Mile 2023 with up there at Queens Lake, and he set up a table, and I was like, oh, I need to go over and talk to him. And sure enough, me and him, we kind of clicked right off the get-go, and I told him who I was and everything. And he's like, oh man, that's cool. And then we just started running into each other numerous times. And finally I got him scheduled for, the show tonight. And it was an honor just to have him come on to talk about what Camp Brown Bear does. And hopefully it helps somebody. Like I said before, the healing power of nature is amazing. So what's up, Martin Ty Cobb? What's up, buddy? And then Al says, Thomas, in or out of the service, it doesn't matter, bro. Our fight continues. We're never out of the fight and never alone, brother. Never stop moving forward. We don't retreat. The enemy does. Well, thank you, Al. Love you too, brother. Thank you for jumping on and listening to us instead of paying attention to that gymnastics competition you're at. So, Ty Cobb, thank you for jumping on. We need to get together soon. I got some questions I got to ask you. But yeah, so look, if you don't know about Camp Brown Bear, go to their website, check them out. Steven is doing amazing things out there. And he's got some great partners. Active Heroes and the other ones that he mentioned, some great partners out there. So definitely check them out and see what they're up to. And man, I tell you what a great show. Bill, thank you for coming out, hanging out, and figuring out what we're doing on the podcast. Can't wait to get your music podcast up. Matter of fact, Mr. Ty Cobb there, he's already volunteered to help produce the music podcast. So Ty, this will be the man hosting the music podcast, Mr. Bill Rawson. So we're going to get you two connected together as well. And I can't wait, man. I think we're going to have the music podcast is, I think it's going to be a pretty good thing. We're going to sprinkle in a little bit of veteran twist into there as well, and talk with musicians and their journey into how they got into music and how it helps heal not just veterans but all people, regardless of genre. Because music, depending, like for me, I listen to all types of music, and it just depends on what mood I'm in. Because if I'm in a bad mood, more than likely I'm listening to 90s grunge. If I'm in a great mood, I might be listening to the Beach Boys or some reggae. If I'm in a okay kind of mood, I'll throw in some country or classic rock. Now I'll never listen to classical because I'll never be in the mood to listen to classical, but and I listen to 90s rap, some 90s gangster rap or
hip hop.
Yeah, hip hop. And a lot of it, like I said, just depends on the mood that I'm in. So
Yeah, definitely. I was brought up by parents that cut my teeth on the Beatles and Rolling Stones and then Zeppelin and then when I started approaching music, it was the 80s hair bands, the Poison and Bon Jovi's, and then I had some dirtbag friends. They introduced me to the Metallica and the harder stuff, and it turned out that's what I really like.
I love Metallica.
But if you're listening to my playlist on shuffle, you're gonna hear Jason Mraz and Elton John coming out of nowhere right after some Anthrax.
Oh yeah,
musical whiplash.
Read that comment right there from Mr. Al Hero.
Yes. I had a grape for dinner before I came over here. Probably have a red for dessert later when I get home.
And then Mr. Ty says, great mood, old school hip hop, but I listen to just about every genre, to include classical. Man, I tell you what. Oh man. Oh, Al, you never cease to amaze me, brother. Is that all right? So your day in the barrel, is that when you listen to classical? Your day in the barrel?
Well, when those cannons blast, it's
all right. Mr. Michael, been a pretty rough day. 33 years ago today, I got on that bird for Desert Storm. Oh man. You doing all right, Michael? If you need to reach out, call me. You got my number. Reach out to me. I'll talk with you if you need to talk. Al here, and then right here, Al Hero is a G. Oh man. Oh, now are you talking about in a G string or is a G? Trying to figure out which route you're going there, Mr. Tacob. All right, cool. How is the puppy doing, Michael? By the way, I know I've seen some pictures. He's been going with you on your trips and stuff that you've been going on. But yeah, definitely check out Camp Brown Bear with Stephen Brown there. campbrownbearusa.org. Go to their website if you want to support his mission in helping veterans. Go up there and donate. Well, that's good, Michael, that he won't let you out of his sight. That's what they're supposed to. That's what they're supposed to be. That bonding right now that you're doing with that dog is going to last you a lifetime. I promise you that. But yeah, go check out Brown Bear, Camp Brown Bear up there, and see what they're doing. If you want to go to one of the retreats, fill out the application. I tell you, you won't be disappointed when you get done with that retreat up there. So definitely come check them out. Bill, thank you for coming out. I know I said that a little bit ago, but we got on a little bit of a side tangent with Al Hero and Martin Ty Cobb and everybody. So
anybody interested in a music podcast that'll be coming out soon, Distorted Static on Facebook. We haven't put out a show just yet. We're getting ready to start recording some of those and looking to have them start going live early in the new year.
Yep, in January. Yep.
Any of you that happen to follow Homefront Sit Rep and you like music, you make music, you know musicians, whether they're veteran or not. I definitely want to have a veteran focus, but there's always a connection between music and veterans, whether the musicians themselves are veterans or not. So if you know somebody that just has a good story to tell, interesting story to their music, their journey through life, hit us up at Distorted Static, send us a message, send us some links. However you can get us some information, we'll track those people down.
Yeah, Distorted Static on Facebook, or you can go to talenttalents.com/distorted static, and we got a website there. So go check it out.
We always count on our Navy friends for that. There, Albert.
Oh, I love you, Al, man. I tell you what, I love you. I wish you could have jumped on and talked with Steven, because that would have been a fucking hoot, man. I tell you. I can't even get that picture out of my head. You playing the skin flute. You sure you wasn't a submarine guy? I tell you what. Oh, hell.
Dress me in white and call me Seaman.
Oh, shit.
You get a little too into it, that part.
Oh, God. Hell far and damnation.
We should probably cut before we get censored.
Yeah, I know you were a combat. He was a combat CB. Anywho, like I always say, stay safe out there, and I got your 6. Oh my Lord. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find Homefront Sit Rep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.